there are certain traffic signals where the buttons are installed just to ensure that people press that button and wait.
Let's say for a 6-month period, I'm actually not finding too many things to change, right? Now, if I don't take any action on the portfolio and I go with a bill to my customer, what are you going to tell me, Abhishek?
Yeah, it's also same like we are sick and the doctor say just drink water and sleep. We always feel that idea, he has not written anything, why should I pay 500 rupees?
अब प्रॉब्लम ये है कि मुझे जो करना है पोर्टफोलियो में, तो मेरा क्राइटेरिया ये नहीं है कि व्हाट इज समथिंग इंटेलिजेंट दैट आई कैन डू जिसके कारण पोर्टफोलियो में बहुत ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट होगा. माय कंसर्न इज दैट कि कहीं मैं ऐसा कुछ चेंज ना कर दूं, राइट, बिकॉज ऑफ विच एक्चुअली द पोर्टफोलियो गेट्स इम्पैक्टेड नेगेटिवली. Sometimes I hope that investors will understand that, not doing anything is also a decision, and it's a difficult decision to take, right? And it takes equal effort, but it's very difficult psychologically to, say that, okay, drink water and you will be okay. I think in our business, luck is a factor which is often misjudged, ignored, and probably has the highest, impact on the portfolio performance. For example, what we have learned, right? One of the basic principles is to not make obvious mistakes. So, as advisors or as professional, our job is to do things which sorts of falls into a certain framework, eliminates most of the mistakes, and then luck plays out. Okay, so for example, one of the companies that we invested, so in 2021 there were quite a few platform companies which got IPO'd, right? You also invested in one of those companies on our recommendation, but when we invested in that, I'm talking about Zomato, of course. When we invested in that, at that point of time, the Blinkit was not in picture, right? And actually the valuation of Zomato got propelled by Blinkit. What happened with Blinkit? And in fact, when Blinkit happened, I was little nervous, thinking that this is not the right move, right?
Why you were nervous?
Because that was something which is going to consume a lot of cash. So just at the point of time where we thought that now the company will start generating cash, there was a decision which is going to again invest a lot of cash into a business which was actually not known whether it will work out or not, you know so I was a little nervous about that. But what we did was only that we bought that company at a very, very good valuation, where we felt that uh, at this value probably we cannot go wrong, right? And then luck played out, right? And today we are probably sitting at 5x 6x gains on that particular company, right? So somebody might say, or even as an investor you might feel that Anshul was very smart to pick this company, but the fact is that was not a smart decision, that was not an intelligent decision. That was simply looking at, okay, it's very difficult to go wrong at this particular point. The company is getting listed, they have gotten a lot of cash from the investor, so it will be very difficult for this company to die now. you know so that was the only thought, right? But what happened afterward was pure luck.
And it could have gone other way around as well.
Absolutely, all the time. So that is why, in the previous discussions also I had mentioned that return is very something that people are very obsessed about. It's a very clumsy matrix, doesn't tell you much, to be honest. Because uh, as a as I said, as an advisor, our job is to do avoid making large mistakes, right? And then wait for, so you have to look for whether the opportunity is there or not, whether possibility of upside is there or not. That is my job of looking at a company. But whether that upside will actually play out, whether that probability will actually become a reality, is anybody's guess. you can't sort of do anything about it.
And that's where sometimes people feel that they have control, but actually they don't.
They don't. Yeah, yeah.
Can also be looked from different dimension. For example, in Western world, there are certain traffic signals where the buttons are installed just to ensure that people press that button and wait, with thought that with the press, the red signal on the roadside will come quickly and they can walk over, and that gives that placebo effect. And it might be the same in market as well.
Absolutely. So, specifically, so this is something which I experienced in my practice, right? Now, what happens is, because I'm a fee-based advisor, I would go back with a invoice every 6 months, right? You know that from last 10 years, right? So now what happens is, let's say, for a 6 month period, I'm actually not finding too many things to change, right? Now, if I don't take any action on the portfolio and I go with a bill to my customer, what are you going to tell me, Abhishek?
What are you charging for? Yeah. Yeah, it's also same like we are sick and the doctor say just drink water and sleep. We always feel that idea, he has not written anything, why should I pay 500 rupees?
Right. Then in my business, I'll think about, I'll get into that thinking that कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा यार, राइट? अब प्रॉब्लम ये है कि मुझे जो करना है पोर्टफोलियो में, तो मेरा क्राइटेरिया ये नहीं है कि व्हाट इज समथिंग इंटेलिजेंट दैट आई कैन डू जिसके कारण पोर्टफोलियो में बहुत ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट होगा. माय कंसर्न इज दैट कि कहीं मैं ऐसा कुछ चेंज ना कर दूं, राइट, बिकॉज ऑफ विच एक्चुअली द पोर्टफोलियो गेट्स impacted negatively, because naturally I'm not seeing anything positive to do, right? So you end up doing something, right, which where the criteria is that it should not impact negatively. You should, you know create that effect of, that pressing that button where in the traffic light, the example that you were saying. So that also plays out. uh, Sometimes I hope that investors will understand that, not doing anything is also a decision. Right? And it's a difficult decision to take, right? And it takes equal efforts, but it's very difficult psychologically to, say that ki, okay, drink water and you will be okay.
So in those situations, then what would you advise to people not to take decisions?
Absolutely. If the decision is not, so one of the things which that's the reason why, I always refrain from having that return related conversations, um, is because, let's say I promised you a particular return, you know, uh, and if, let's say you ask me, Anshul, I want a company which can, let's say, compound for 25%, 30% for next 5 years, right? And I start looking at companies like that, right? Sometimes what happens, what I have realized is, when you're looking too hard for something, you start seeing those patterns even if they are not there.
That's true.
So I don't want to do that. you know I want to just go through the information of the company and hit by a brick on my head. Oh my god, this is a 25% compounding story. That is where I feel that the decisions have the higher probability of going right. you know and when I am under pressure about, finding something of a particular sort, that is where, I start seeing things which probably are not even there. So that's the reason why we always focus on, not looking for
Specific pattern. Yeah, and
pattern should come up and hit you.
but it so happen with everyone that we inadvertently recognize a pattern. For example, if you look at a cloud and suddenly someday it will look like a human being, and then there are internet pictures where rock look like a trishul. I mean, and this can go on and on. Or, for example, in during World War II, when the Germans were bombing London, the London air felt that there is a pattern on which these guys are bombing. So there is a place in London where there could be more safe. So it's repeated again and again in history, and we cannot get away with confirmation bias.
Here's the difference, right? You look at the sky, right, and you try hard to imagine if you can see, let's say, a tiger. Okay, you might start seeing it, is one thing, right? And you are just sitting in the balcony having a sip of coffee, and suddenly you start saying, oh my god, this is a tiger. So that's the difference, that the pattern should hit you rather than you looking for the pattern, is what I'm saying.